Hi, thanks for tuning in to Inspiration Soup. This episode is a little different than the other episodes that I have filmed, and this one is where I'm going to enjoy my bowl of soup with you as we discuss a very pertinent topic for what we're going through right now in the world. And today I'm enjoying a bowl of lentil soup which I made last night, and I will reveal this special recipe in the description below and also on my website on journeyintojoy.com. And it's a very simple recipe. I have been making it for years the same way that my mom has made it and my grandmother. It's done in the pressure cooker if you have one, and it's very simple. You put lentils, onions, carrots, and bay leaf and water in the pot, and you bring it up to temp and you let it shake, and then you would add whatever other ingredients you'd like to add to it after that. This time I added some cumin and some garlic powder, some veggie bouillon, and some wild rice. And so you could add celery, you could add curry, you could do pasta instead of rice or potatoes. Your call, how you like to make your soup. Again, that's what this is all about. Whatever inspires you, makes you feel good. And so my soup is just very basic right now, and it's just yummy and nourishing, just like the things that we're going to talk about today. So one thing that we're all struggling with right now, being that we are being forced to distance ourselves from each other in face-to-face connection due to the pandemic that we're experiencing, we are really being given a special time right now to really discover what it means to be alone versus lonely, to explore our free time and how we would actually like to spend our free time for those of us who aren't actually able to work right now. And it gives you an opportunity to really go within and see, how would you really like to be spending your time if you haven't been enjoying the way you've been spending it, whatever you're doing for work, or if you're going to school, or how would you really like to fill your day? So just like you would fill your bowl or your soup with your special ingredients, what would you like to fill your day with? And so what I'd like to talk about is this difference between loneliness and aloneness. And I think those are two very different things. I've had these conversations with friends, and we always have this amazing chemistry when we get together. And then it seems like time passes, and even though we really still care for each other, and we would really love to keep in communication, we get so busy with our lives, and then we don't really pick up the phone to check in and see how each other's doing. And we have such good connection that I know and they know that there's no real reason why we're not communicating, except that life is busy and we get involved with other things. And yet when we're going through this time where we're being isolated from each other, it's giving us that real opportunity to check in and say, okay, who are the people in my life that are important, and what's really going on with them right now? Are they okay? When we do get together again, it's going to be like fireworks, because it's just going to be fun, and we'll have laughs and something, a meal together. And right now we're all kind of doing this alone. So at this time, I just want to bring that up. Like, are you feeling alone or are you feeling lonely? And those are two very different things in my mind. I feel that loneliness is really where we can get down on ourselves, feel like we don't matter to anyone. We're bored. We don't know how to fill our time, and it can be scary, and yet it's really an opportunity to spend time with ourselves as opposed to by ourselves. Being alone can have many gifts in it. For example, I would spend many nights just journaling because I didn't really have anyone else to talk to. When I picked up the phone, no one was available, and I was needing to be able to have a conversation with someone. And so by writing, it was really like a communication with my inner self, with my higher self, and also with my angels and guides. And so I highly recommend journaling because you can really get some answers as you're writing. You never really know what's hiding inside of you until you start really writing it out. So many times there's things that you want to complain about, and who really wants to hear you complain all the time, right? So why not just write it down and let the paper be the place where you release it and accept that release and that negative energy, which then in turn usually gives you clarity because you start to see things from a different perspective. You start to see, okay, well, you know, this is how I'm feeling now, but when you look back through your journal, you can even see, oh, I felt this way many times, or oh, this is how I resolved it a year ago and I forgot about that. And so it can be very helpful. And also when you're writing, you can often get messages from your higher self or from your angels and guides, whatever it is you believe in, Holy Spirit, God, Jesus, Mary. You can start to become a channel for yourself, and that inspiration that kicks in, that sounds like it's in your own head, is often being given to you from your assistants. And so I feel like there can be a real gift in aloneness, and we can look at it like we're not by ourselves, but we're really with ourselves, and not only with our higher self, but also with that inner child that's within us that we need to nurture. And we all have that child inside that is always craving attention. We have to learn how to give to her or him ourselves and not always be looking for someone else to give to them. And this is the part of life coaching that we do that's called self-parenting. If we could be our own parent, how would we treat ourselves? Would we take ourselves out for more walks? Would we go swing on the swings? Would we bake something? Would we color? Would we play with puzzles, toys, Legos, paints? What would we do? What is that inner child really wanting? Is it just to be heard or validated? Maybe she just wants to be held, and that is the challenge when you are technically alone, is to be able to really hold yourself. So stuffed animals might be helpful if you don't have a significant other, and you can get creative with that on your own. Snuggle warm blankets or cozy sweaters or something to that effect. In doing this, I think that you will find that there's this difference between that aloneness and being lonely. Because once you can fill your life with things that nurture you, then you're not going to feel as lonely because you're always going to be with yourself. I'd like to just say a few things about relationships at this point, because we can always look toward relationships to be our nurturer, to validate our feelings. And if we're not getting what we want from a relationship, it doesn't mean that that relationship isn't necessarily good for us. I think the important part is that we know if that person is actually there and listening, as opposed to always being the one to ask for help or to be encouraged and to lean on us for that support. And it's always good to be supportive. I mean, that's what a friend is. But there can be a time where you get maybe not enough on your end and someone else is being more of a taker. And this is something you need to learn how to draw your boundaries and say when something is good for you and when something isn't. And a relationship is always supposed to be a give and take, not just a take and not just a give. So when you get to this place where you feel yourself always reaching out to someone and they don't reach out to you, ask yourself, is this person really just busy and they haven't been able to take the time? Because if you have that connection, you know the difference. And if they are really just not good for you, you'll know that, you know what, I am always being the one to reach out and they don't seem to really check in with me and it doesn't really seem to matter to them how I'm doing. You need to be an advocate for yourself, because you as your own parent are nurturing your inner child there and saying, this is something that's good for you and this is something that isn't. And so this is important stuff. And we want to just make sure that we're always looking out for ourselves as well, because we are just as important as everyone else and we do matter. So remember that it's always good to be the giver, as long as you're not being taken advantage of and you feel that you're getting some energy return as well. And if you are, bless that relationship and treasure it and hold on to it and keep it going as long as you can, because those relationships don't come around that often. And even though we may be far apart in physical distance, our hearts can always be so intimately connected that we can feel each other's pain throughout the miles, regardless of how far we are. And when you have that kind of connection, that's the way things ought to be. That's what we're moving toward as a society, for us to be that connected, to feel each other's pain, and to want to reach out and help when we know the other person is hurting. And so I hope that you do have these kind of relationships in your life. Social media has definitely brought people closer together. I'm of a time period where we didn't have social media, and social meant getting together in person. So it's always fun too to see what people are finding and sharing on Facebook, and the funny things that they can share with us is always good to have that uplifting. And then of course to know when someone is hurting that you can reach out and help them. That's really been a benefit for all of us to be more connected. But again, it's really about, how you could have all the friends in the world on Facebook but still feel alone in your life or lonely. And so we still need to learn how to nurture ourselves so that we can feel whole in ourselves, by ourselves. And then when we are whole, we have more to give. So if you would like to find out some fun ways of bringing more joy into your life on a low budget, I have a special poster that I put together on my website, and you can download that. I also have a new guide called How to Soar When You're Feeling Defeated, and all of this you can download from my website at journeyintojoy.com. And I do hope that if you like this video, you will like it, share it, subscribe to the channel, and just keep the love going so I can keep making more of these and bringing you some more inspiration. And I talked so much, I forgot to eat my soup. So I am going to have some soup, and I hope that you may enjoy your wonderful bowl of inspiration soup on your own and make your own lentils. I hope you have a great day, and remember, be nice to yourself.